look, we can't play everything.
We try.
We really try.
We can't.
There's so many games from 2023 we missed. What's up, everybody? My name is Nick.
I'm Mike.
We are the Brothers Murph, and that's right. Today we're going to talk about 10 games for 2023 that we missed. To this point, we still have not played them. We really, really want to.
Right.
We really try and play as much from a year as we possibly can.
Yeah, these are all games that are we had every intention of playing. Games that we really want to try, just hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened. These are going to be our top 10 games from 2023 that we missed. Number 10 game that we missed from 2023 is Daybreak. I love Matt Leacock. We started off with Pandemic, so Matt's always got a huge space in my heart. But Daybreak is a game where you are cooperatively working together to fight climate change and try to not have the global temperature rise too much, because that is something that is bad, obviously. And so you are working together to try to not have that happen. If the temperature rises too much, you will all lose. Or if there's too many kind of world crises, you will lose as well. But you are working together to try and stop that from happening. In this game, I really want to play, because one, I like the theme. I like games that teach, or kind of are about kind of modern things. I think that's a really cool way to kind of teach and kind of just be like, hey, this is a way to be aware of these things, learn a little bit about some of the things that maybe we're trying to do to combat climate change. And then also we get to play. And also there's something about Daybreak and the way that it looks that I just absolutely love. There's something about the art. It's this kind of simple, but very colorful, very cool art. And speaking of Daybreak, there is a really wonderful review by a climate scientist that's in the forum. So go look on BG in the forums. It's a really wonderful review about Daybreak from a climate scientist perspective. It's really, really cool. And it's a really good read. So make sure to check that out. And I'll go and check out Daybreak because I want to play it.
Number 9 from 2023 that we missed is Raising Robots. I've heard this referred to as a wingspan kind of game, because you have this tableau that you are building your robots onto, and they're going to activate at different times and stuff. There's kind of 3 rows, so it feels wingspanish. It definitely feels different in that you're playing these cards out, and certain phases of the game are going to activate from round to round. So maybe that's a little bit more like Race for the Galaxy or something like that. But the theme of this and the look is so adorable. It's a nicely produced game, and the art of the robots, they're all cute, sweet robots, almost childlike. You're raising robots, right? They are kind of like kids and stuff. And it's one I just think is just really awesome. I really enjoy the look of the theme. The look and the theme, I should say, and then the kind of ability to upgrade action types as you go, and get kind of more and more out of what you're doing, that kind of resource management piece, and eventually start doing something that starts generating points for yourself and kind of get that engine up and running. So it's one I really want to try, just based off looks alone, and what I've seen from the gameplay itself also does seem kind of wingspanish, and in a great way, seems kind of great.
Number 8 is Hegemony, Lead Your Class to Victory. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say, I don't really think I'm going to like this game, but I really want to try it. Hegemony is, gosh, taking BGG by storm. It's already, I think, at the time of recording this, it's in the 80s in terms of the top 100 games of all time. It's really, really skyrocketed. It's very much a BGG game, right? BGG users tend to love big, heavy Euros, and that is what this is. But this is a asymmetric game where it's 4 players. You can play as different parts of society. There's the working class, I think the capitalist class, kind of the rich people. There's the state, and then I think the middle class. I think those are the 4. And they all work completely differently. You're trying to, as the title says, lead your class to victory. You're basically, different classes want different things. You have to kind of work with each other to kind of give them a little bit of this, they'll give you a little bit of that. And it's a big, heavy Euro game. And I know this has been lauded as being very, very accurate to kind of generally how societies work and the different struggles with the different classes against each other and how sometimes the viewpoints do not match up and why that happens and yada, yada, yada. But apparently it's just from a purely mechanical board game standpoint, just an absolute masterpiece. I've heard such good things. I don't know how much I'm gonna like it because it just doesn't, I don't know, from what I've seen from people playing and stuff, I just, for whatever reason, I have a hunch I'm not really gonna like it, but I really want to try it, which is what this list is about. Because any game that's that well thought of in terms of like, people just say like, it's just so well done, I have to try it. And who knows, maybe I'll absolutely love it. Because sometimes you gotta try stuff that you think, man, I'm probably not gonna like this, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway. That's gonna be Hegemony for me. It just seems really well done, where even if I don't like it, it's one of those things where you're like, you know what, I didn't personally like that, but I can appreciate the heck out of that. I have a hunch that's gonna be me in Hegemony, so I really wanna try it.
Number 7 for us is Expeditions. This is a game set in the universe of Scythe, where you are kind of, now focused in on, one mech, and you're kind of running around to different hexes and stuff, and I think kind of exploring a bit of a mystery as well. So this is one that we really want to try because we enjoy Scythe for sure and don't have a ton of opportunity to play it. Like, as people that play primarily two-player, Scythe isn't really designed for that. You want more people at the table. And also, so many people have gotten so good at Scythe that it's hard because you're gonna get worked if you go and play some random game against random people. They're gonna be much better than you. So we feel like the ship has kind of sailed on Scythe and we've been left a little bit behind, which is totally fine. But I like the world and the what you're doing in Scythe. So Expeditions is one that was pretty exciting, where you are now kind of focused on this mech. You're slotting cards on all sides of your mech to do different things, and the way you kind of power up, and you're kind of exploring the map. So it feels a little, it's not like a combat, not that Scythe is combat driven, but there's a combat element to it for sure. And this kind of seems more about the management of your cards and stuff like that, which kind of speaks to the games that we enjoy. So Expeditions is one I definitely want to check out. And, coming from Stonemaier games and based on something like Scythe, like those are pretty highly regarded games. So it's something that just kind of want to check out based on that alone.
Number 6 is gonna be Earthborne Rangers. This, I'm not gonna lie, is mostly just because everyone who we know who's played it has freaking loved this game. This is a really cool campaign, story-driven game where you are going through different quests. There's kind of like a big main storyline, but then there's all of these side quests you can do, and every day in the game is a day in this world, and you're doing multiple rounds in the day. And then I think once you're like fatigued or from either injury or you're just kind of out of stuff you can do, that's when the game ends for that session. And this is mostly just because, again, so many people, I think Shut Up and Sit Down really liked it. Our friends Jeff and Jamey over at Fossil and Meeple loved this game. And we just keep hearing so many amazing things about it. And it's got a really, really cool look. I really like these kinds of campaign games. We don't get to play them very often, unfortunately. So it's one of those things where I really want to try it, but I have a hunch I'm going to like it and want to play it more, and then just not really have the ability to do that, unfortunately. But nonetheless, Earthborne Rangers seems so cool. For a kind of campaign game, it looks like it's really, really well done. It's got cool art, and just people seem to love it so much, and it makes me want to try it.
So number 5 is Bot Factory. This is from Lacerda, and a kind of series of games that they're doing that are smaller versions of a parent game that he has also designed. So Bot Factory set in a factory similar to Kanban EV, where now you're making bots and you are gaining designs and parts and building bots and trying to meet the demands, like what kind of things are people asking for, to kind of maximize on that. Then also maximizing on the types of bots you're building being the more valuable ones. And of course, most famously from Kanban, you have Sandra, who's your supervisor, who's going around and kind of checking up on your work. And Sandra's very much present in this, as well as the way that you determine the order that things are carried out on the board from top to bottom is also present here in Bot Factory. So there's a little bit of kind of like turn order stuff to deal with. Kanban is one that we've come to fairly recently in life and is really shot up the ranks in terms of our favorite games of all time. So having a game that is set in that kind of world that borrows from those mechanisms and gives you kind of a smaller game experience that kind of feels like its parent game is really exciting, because I don't always have, as a new parent, time to play Kanban EV, but I would like to. And so maybe something like a Bot Factory is going to be a little bit easier to table, a little bit quicker, but give me a lot of those vibes from Kanban EV. So Bot Factory is a no-brainer.
Number 4 is a big 4X Euro game, and this is Voidfall. Voidfall, I'm just curious about, because Voidfall is one of those games that is like so enormous that I'm like confused by it, but in a good way. If that makes any kind of sense. It's a big 4X game, you know, kind of exploit, expand, exterminate, and what's the last one? Exploit, expand, exterminate, and extracurricular activities. I can't remember the last X. What the heck is it? Either way. But it's a Euro game, so you have those kind of 4 things from big space games, but then you also have like resource management and card play and different things that you're managing, very kind of like crunchy Euro-y stuff. It's got a really, really great look, but on top of all of that, it's got cooperative mode, competitive mode, solo modes. There's like all these different modules. There's all these different things you can play with. It's just one of those games that has so much stuff that I'm very intimidated by it, but also kind of intrigued about it. And so that's a game that I really want to try, because one, we're big Euro game fans. I love Euro games. And so a big crunchy Euro game sounds right up my alley, but you're like, oh, this is also a massive 4X game. And so I'm like, I'm so curious about that. And I've heard good things from people, from friends of ours who have played it, and I love the look of it. And so I'm just very curious about Voidfall, and I want to try it really, really badly, but I am a little bit intimidated.
Number 3 is Wild Tile West. Yee-hoo! This is a tile laying game set in the Wild West, and you are doing a bunch of kind of Western stuff. You are using, I think, dice to draft tiles and place out those tiles, which are going to provide you with, you know, I think resources. There's like bandits that you can go and shoot with your sheriff and stuff, and the little bullet that you use, you have to have those resources. Turns into a little gravestone. So you're trying to do a bunch of different things set in the Wild West as you, of course, build a nice group of these polyomino tiles and covering up as many areas on your player board as possible. You want to complete different areas as well. So this is one that purely, we like tile laying games for one. We like the puzzliness of a polyomino tile placement challenge. We enjoy kind of Western themes. It seems like the one that's really kind of fun. You know, it's not being overly serious and things like that, which is pretty cool. So it's one that we definitely want to try based on just the setting alone. So that is Wild Tile West.
Number 2 is a game called The City of the Great Machine. I'm gonna tell you, we were this close to playing this at the last BGG con. I had it out and I was trying to learn it, and then something came up and we ended up doing something else. I didn't end up learning it, but I really, really wanna try City of the Great Machine. This is a steampunky kind of Victorian age one versus all game, or you can play it cooperatively as well, although apparently those two games are very, very different. But this is a hidden movement game where one player is playing as the City of the Great Machine. They're playing the Great Machine, and then everyone else is playing heroes, kind of like the populace. And the City of the Great Machine is like a whole city that's like run by robots and AI, and kind of like the Wizard of Oz up top, just like running everything by themselves. And one person is playing that, and they're trying to execute like their master plan or something like that. And then the heroes are essentially going around to the different districts trying to incite riots. I think if they incite 3 riots, they win. And then if the Great Machine enacts their grand plan, they win. And it's got really, really interesting, good hidden movement where you're not obviously telling the Great Machine where you're gonna be. So you're basically trying to pop up and do stuff. It's got this cool steampunky look. It's kind of like a big crunchy game, but it just looks really, really cool. But then there's also a co-op mode where an AI will run the Great Machine and then everyone else just plays the Heroes, and apparently that's like a very different game. And I've heard they're both really, really fun. One versus all games, I like the concept of, but we almost never get to play them. But since you can also play this one cooperatively, apparently that's very fun as well, I really want to try this game. I don't know, I love the name, The City of the Great Machine. It's such a good name. It's very evocative and interesting. It's got a cool look. It's got cool mechanics. I'm just really, really, really wanting to play it.
Number 1 is Ticket to Ride Legacy, the Legends of the West. Ticket to Ride is an important game. It's one that we had early on, still have. It was an early for us board game. It's a gateway game for a lot of people. It's one that's been so well supported. They're still making Ticket to Rides to this day. And something like a campaign game where you have kind of that familiarity of Ticket to Ride. It's also, Ticket to Ride is not the heaviest game either, which is something that's exciting as a legacy game experience, not having the most complicated game. I like the idea that now, when you start the game, you don't have the whole map available to you. It's yet to be discovered, it's yet to be developed and built out. So I like that concept of, I don't know much about the story. I don't know much about what you're trying to do specifically, or if they're borrowing from certain specific Ticket to Ride games in the past, or if it's kind of its own whole thing. I want to discover that and go in as blind as possible. But I like the idea of, you are going to discover more as you go and build out this map. And so I know enough to see that at the start of the game, you only have kind of the East Coast to deal with. That's really cool to me. I think it's gonna be so fun to build stuff out, sticker things, but have it again be based on a game that is easier to get into. I'm sure it'll be more complicated than a normal game of Ticket to Ride with all of the legacy elements, but still ultimately a fairly playable, approachable game. It's just something that's really exciting. So I can't wait to dig into those boxes, see what game elements arrive and stuff like that. So just purely curious. So those are 10 games from the last year that we missed. Of course, there are so many more.
Honestly, I would love to say we're going to play them all this year. We probably won't.
No way. And there's, of course, so many more and ones we haven't even heard about. So games from 2023 that you missed, put those in the comments.
Yeah.
If any of these ones that we said we missed that you played and really like and think we should prioritize, please let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear all of that from you and more. And until next time, I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
We are the Brothers Murph. We'll catch you all in the next Top 10.
Bye, everybody.